Welcome. It's our second panel of the season and we're talking about the Victoria Beckham show. I've got a wonderful set of panellists with me, some of whom have actually worked with Victoria Beckham, so it's brilliant. If they'd like to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Mimma Viglezio and I'm a consultant.
And writer.
Sometimes.
Hi, I'm Stephen Jones and I'm a Germanite. No, I'm a Millionaire.
I'm Camilla Morton and I'm a fashion writer.
I'm Tobin and I'm a fashion consultant and I currently head up Selfridges Bespoke.
Camilla and Mimma, tell me, why do women love Victoria Beckham so much?
Because she's a woman.
Yeah, she's a woman designing for a woman, and she embodies quite an aspirational lifestyle that you put on her clothes or you buy her clothes. You're buying into her, the woman, as much as you're buying into the brand. And I think everything about Victoria Beckham embodies empowering women, and I think she does clothes that they're very sexy, they're very strong, but also they're not difficult nightmare clothes to wear. Sometimes designers do clothes that they might not necessarily like a woman or be rooting for a woman because it's terribly complicated, and these are clothes that you can put on, and whether you're having an ordinary day or a fabulous day, they're sort of there to make you feel luxe.
I like her clothes for whatever Camilla's just said, but I also like where she comes from, because I have to admit, I was one of those, saying, oh, Victoria Beckham, I didn't believe in it. I thought she wasn't, and I think she is so good, and she works so hard, and it's so sincere and honest and so chic that, she just deserved to be loved.
Would you agree with that, Stephen? Because you've worked with her.
Yeah, I mean, every female designer from Coco Chanel through Sonia Rykiel always model their clothes on themselves, and it's great that she can sort of share her look with others, and I think she really has got taste, and she hasn't got a huge studio of people. It is her, and it is her doing it.
You can see that.
Yeah, and it's very honest. For example, at the Fashion Awards last year, she was there crying when she received her award. She couldn't quite believe it. I mean, I think she's. She had a career as a singer, and now she's amazed to have a career as a fashion designer.
Jack, you've talked about sort of how much women love it, and they come and they want to buy it. Why do you think, having worked in retail and you work at Selfridges, which obviously has an amazing array of designers, what is it about Victoria Beckham that women are just like, this makes me look great?
I think it's like Camilla said actually, that the pieces are quite empowering. And what's interesting is she's one of the designers that sits in designer room with lots of London Fashion Week labels that has about 40% sell-through before it even hits the floor, because she has a waiting list of loyal women that really love the pieces. And very few designers actually have that kind of impact. And I feel with her it's easy to be a cynic and look at her past as a singer and snub it, but actually she's done so well to overcome that and be a fully fledged designer in her own right now. And it's like Stephen said as well, it's actually quite endearing how passionate she is about it, and how this almost means more to her. The success that she's receiving from this means more to her than all the incredible things she's done before.
I'm interested in how she's built her brand, because this is something you can tell us a bit about, but she's been very kind of, you mentioned she's been quite discreet and quite polite in how she's done it. She hasn't done anything big and showy, even the way she shows, in these she won't have a lot of looks, and she'll do it very discreetly. Do you think that's been part of the success, is that she's been quite modest?
I think so, and I think it has very much to do with what everybody just said. I mean, there was a time where, as Marc Jacobs I think once said, whoever has a dog thinks he's a designer. And there was all the rock stars and actors and actresses saying, "Oh, there's nothing for me, I'm going to be a designer," which was ridiculous, and luckily it's stopping. But actually she comes from there, and she started in a humble way, and you could expect, fireworks a la Kanye West. She has the money, she has the fame, and she didn't do that. So I don't know if it's her or whoever behind her helping her in the branding exercise. It's absolutely brilliant. I wish I was working with them. Hello, I wish. I think you're very good.
I have to say that's true actually, that I've heard so many people across the industry, lots of friends of mine that are junior designers or at that level, and they say, I'd love to be working for Victoria. They love the product, they love the vision, the clarity of the brand that she has. And picking up on what you're saying, many musicians or people, celebrities, have tried and failed with lots of money behind them and lots of connections, but it still hasn't worked. But again, credit to her that she has somehow managed to do what most have failed
She
at.
didn't just think I know how to dress because I'm a celebrity.
Yeah.
She, I guess, studied it, asked for advice.
Yeah.
She learned a craft, and that shows.
Well, I think it's that she asked. I think, like you said, I think what is so appealing about her collection is what you said. It's the sincerity of it, and that she wasn't afraid to ask. Sometimes, when you already have fame, you can get it fast tracked. But she was. I think what's so brilliant about her is she asked, and she asked the right people, and she wasn't afraid to ask, and she's put so much into these collections that whether you want to go at it through a snidey angle or not, she's won the fashion industry over, the buyers over, as well as everybody.
Let's talk, before we go to the season, let's talk a little bit about her aesthetic and her codes. Who would you guys say she's kind of drawing on, she's following on from in her work? Where does she sit? Because I know a lot of people made a comparison to Roland Moyer when she started, but I think she has moved on and done something quite unique. What would you say her kind of signature?
Well, he very much always concentrated on dresses, whereas she has concentrated on separates more and more now.
Yeah.
And I think we see during this show that she is almost even layering, which for her was quite unusual. I mean, hers was always a pared down aesthetic. It could have been in bright orange or with some unusual cuts. It was always very clean, but now she's really moving into a whole softer area, which I think sort of mimics her age, her development, her sophistication, where she is in her life.
And I think last season in particular was, we were talking before we started about those flat Manolo shoes that she did, and it did feel a lot more, less kind of restricted, less dressed up. And do you think she's starting to kind of come out of her shell a little bit and explore a bit with what she's doing?
Well, I guess it's a sort of, the sales are working. I guess it's a question of confidence, but also, I think it takes a few seasons because fashion press are vicious. Everybody went when they started to knock it down and have a really good laugh, and I think it takes a few seasons to believe how well it is being received, and then you can blossom and start to establish your, when a designer goes to a new label or a designer is launching a new label, it takes a few sort of seasons to get into your groove, and then I think you can start to sort of explain what your message and your brand is.
Should we have a look at this season then? This is our opening look from
Definitely.
Can we see the next look as well?
I love that tweed coat.
I love it with the soft hair. It's so different to the way that it's been before. But she'll have a very, very clean hairdo.
Yeah.
And now there's that sort of almost country-ish for her.
And what do you think of some of this more kind of the street stuff that she's doing? She did those beanie hats, and she said they were inspired by David and the way he dresses, but also with the shoes it does feel a bit more kind of urban and throw on.
She's loosened up a little bit, and as Stephen was saying, even in her own style, it's less stiff, it's less needs perfection. I remember looking at her a few years ago and thinking she must be spending hours in saying this has to be there and can't move, a little bit like Nicole Kidman used to be. And now she's loosened up, and when you see her in the press, I think she looks much better. And hence those shoes that she probably wouldn't have done 3
she's
years
always
ago,
perfectly
right?
groomed, believe me.
Yes, but it looks more casual.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
And you were saying she seems to really enjoy what she does. You're saying it means a lot to her. She tries it on herself, and I think that comes through quite strongly in her work.
Is that a cleavage or fabric?
No, it's open. It's a slash.
It's skin.
Yeah. It's a slash down cut.
Okay.
Can we see the
I
next
like
look?
the soft shoulders and then going into the soft drape there.
I wonder if that's a British plaid or an Italian plaid.
There's something we were saying before. There's something quite countryside-y about it. That,
I have to say, actually, most of her clothes are made in Britain. I think the only designer that I know of is actually made in England.
Well, apparently from the notes, all of it
Really?
is
All
produced
of it,
in Britain. Yeah.
Really?
Apart from her diffusion line, Victoria, which is made in Europe, but the main line is all made in the UK.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
you see the next look.
I like that slash of blue there.
And this is quite interesting because, Jack, you can probably give us some insights into this, but I think you do get the sense as well that she has a variety of shoppers, and you even see this in the kind of women that wear her clothes on the red carpet. You get some of those really young kind of 18-year-old actresses who look really cute in some of her Victoria line, but also in her main line. But then you'll also get, really curvaceous, really gorgeous older women wearing her stuff. And do you see that with her shopper?
The customer has definitely, I mean, we've, Selfridges has stocked it right from the beginning, and the customer has completely evolved with the confidence that she's gained. We're seeing more of a confident, professional woman as well. It started off being a kind of waggish customer who was buying into their love of Victoria and that lifestyle and what they believed she was about. That's died off. And then we're seeing a professional woman now that wants these kind of key separate pieces, the great coat. So it's interesting, and becomes slightly older as well.
Is it more fashion forward as well? Yeah, I'm interested. Do you find that you get women who would come in and who are fashion women? You know, they'll also be looking at, you know, the Balenciagas and stuff. But well,
that's exactly where it's placed. Is placed in that in designer room, which is that fashion forward customer. But then some of the pieces, when you see them separately, can be worn in a very professional context. And then there's, like she did last season, the bright orange pieces. Yeah. You know, you can. It's how you kind of wear it, basically.
Should we see the next look?
I like that cinched waist.
I feel like her silhouette has grown as well this season.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
becoming a lot less bodycon.
But it's still, it feels very true to her. You know, she does, even if it's just because it's got the zip, you would look at that and you'd know what it was, which I think is...
It's not, I mean, she gets inspiration like everybody else, but you don't feel she's copying, especially in the styling. For me, that's her, like it or not, and I like that.
Even if it's just the addition of that waisted belt, you know, because we've seen that carried through from season to season, whether it's on a bodycon dress or whether it's over.
I wonder if the shoes, are they push down boots, or are they shoes with socks? Or
we'll have to see some close-ups.
I think they look like slouch boots. But
are you surprised by what you're seeing so far, Stephen? Is this kind of what you're... Because having worked with her, you must kind of get an idea of where she draws her.
I'm surprised, yeah. I think it's a whole new direction. If you look back to last summer, as you were saying, the bright orange, there was something very sort of almost technical about that. Of course, you know, fashion moves on, and a winter collection in spirit is very, very different to a summer collection. You know, it's much about warmth and comfort. I mean, I'd be interested to see the evening wear, if that becomes a bit more red carpetish and a bit more glam. But, I mean, at the moment, it's quite sort of cosy almost. Victoria at home with family.
Oh, she's just had a little girl, hasn't she? Should we see the next look?
But that said, I never think about her as a red carpet designer. I mean, she can do that and she can design a gown, but I mean, I see her more for this, like everyday elegance or cocktail more than Oscars.
No, I do, and I think her red carpet stuff, it feels very sort of organic to her because that is the lifestyle she leads. So it does feel like it's her friends wearing it.
But it's not the American way of, you know, mermaid or big Marquesa or Zac Posen dresses. It's more down to earth again, you know.
How did you come to start working with her, Stephen?
I've known her for years. When she was a singer, absolutely. I worked with her, and Julian McDonald made her top hats and crystals. So that was a long time ago. But yeah, absolutely. I started to work with her at the very beginning. She always loves a hat. And often it'd be hats that she had of her own, or hats that David had, or that I'd made for him, or made for her. So it was a very sort of organic, relaxed way of doing something. And actually, it's funny because the accessories, or the hats certainly were almost more relaxed than the clothes were. And I'm pleased to see that actually the clothes are almost catching up with the accessories, and I love this bag too.
I love that whole look.
I love that look. I think it's really modern.
The stone, the coloration is beautiful, and it looks like it's in a kind of brushed silk, and then it's still got a structured stiff cuff to it as well that matches the skirt. It's really elegant.
I also like that the skirts are a little bit longer.
Yeah, that length, we were talking about that with the Alexander
so much thicker
yesterday,
And it's the right length, you know, it's just below the knee.
You're working it today, that length, ahead of the trend.
And you know, Joe McKenna's working with her now, and he has that incredible lineage of working with the best photographers around the world. You know, he's Scottish, and he often has that softness in what he does too. So.
Let's talk a little bit as we go through also about her presentation, because we did touch on this before, but we talked a little bit about the wooden floor before we went live, and there is this sense of her kind of stripping things back and doing them in quite an old school way, because as much as she does love her Twitter and that side of things, she doesn't stream her shows. You know, she invites a very select group of people. She I don't know if she still does this, but she used to talk through her shows.
Yes,
you know,
she
there's
did once
the
or
very-
twice, yeah.
And do you guys wish we'd see more of that in fashion? You know, less of the, because Mimma, you were talking about this before. You get the shows that are the huge production theatrics, and then you get the shows that are.
Well, I think some people react to those used production that are made for Twitter and the internet and the digital TVs, and whereas, as we were saying, Vanessa Friedman was saying this weekend in the FT, the clothes don't matter, and most of the time they don't even get to the stores. They're completely made for the show. And I think the true designers, people that really want to make fashion, they are not even going back. They never really went away from that, where the show has to be beautiful, and you think it's simple, but probably she spent hours choosing that wood. And I remember
Make it smell
Nicola Gisquet,
perfect.
like choosing the paint that would go on the plants. You see what I mean? Just, but then it looked so clean and simple. And that's to, you know, it's just to make the show the protagonist, and I really love it, because I think that's what it's all about, right? And those clothes will be on the shelf. We can buy them, and they're the real ones, not just for show.
Yeah.
It should be the clothes doing the talking, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's going back to that. I think we've moved on from the days of like the huge big production, screaming and shouting, you know, down the
I
down
don't think we have.
We haven't moved away. I think
But still,
yeah.
it's become more about the clothes, and this has an earthiness to it as well, from the flooring to the hair to the fabrics that we've seen so far. It's got this realness to it, and you can see women in all of the outfits we've seen so far.
Should we see the next look?
Gosh, that's a great slash up.
Yeah, I was going to say that's really sexy, and her accessories are really brilliant as
Yeah.
well. I think. See the next look.
I love the purple and the shoulders.
Yeah.
It's really modern.
Yeah.
It's much softer,
Yeah.
I think, than what you.
It's more modern,
Yeah.
I think, than the stiff.
When she did a lot of, you know, the
unmoving
A-lines that
fabric.
she did last time as well, like that, as much as that felt fun and quite sexy and quite, I think, quite pretty in a sense that she hadn't done before. It was young. And this one, it feels very elegant but still very relaxed.
And you can
It's fun.
see that it's all in the most beautiful fabrics
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
and beautiful finish to everything.
But I love that sort of almost early 60s top.
Yeah.
And that was very, you know, like early 60s, either Balenciaga
Yeah.
or Dior.
The cocoon.
with that,
Balenciaga,
yeah,
Mr.
with, the,
Balenciaga, yeah.
with that drop sleeve, with the large cuff on the bottom of it. It's a very elegant, and you know, women can move in that quite easily. It's not like a fitted outfit. A bay is very different.
Well, that's interesting.
It's like Carly Close, yeah. They look very chic, those girls.
Yeah,
This-
they-
I can't see if
Skin.
that's fur or
Yeah.
pony
I
skin.
think it looks
I
like a
think
pony
it's
skin.
pony
Yeah.
skin.
And then it looks like the sleeve is quite a technical fabric, holding that shape like that.
And I like that she's kind of played with this idea of, like the shape before could have been a sweatshirt, and that almost looks, you know, like a sport, like a bomber baseball jacket. You know,
Yeah.
it's-
One thing that I've noticed in the couture shows and in the pre-collection, and now I haven't seen much of this season yet, but sexiness is moving away from the typical sexy where you see a lot of flesh and everything is short, and
Yeah.
but it's moving towards elegant,
Yeah.
and I absolutely embrace that. I
But
think
if you
it
look
was a
at-
high time we couldn't see it anymore.
If you look at the cool girls, because we were talking about this yesterday when we were talking about Alex Wang, you know, the kind of the models that people think are really great at the moment. So whether it's your Freya or your Arizona, they're not going around naked. They're showing off their back, or you know, their side, or like this part of their leg. You know, there's definitely a,
You choose one bit, not everything. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and that's what's happening
Yeah.
on the catwalks.
you do the next look.
Now, is this chocolate brown or is it black?
What the?
I
the
think
top.
it's black.
It looks black to
It
me.
looks
but,
black to me, darling.
But on previous outfit as well. I wonder if she's.
Softly graduating.
Is that cashmere, that skirt? I mean, it looks so soft.
I think maybe leather. I don't know if I've just got a really weird glaze from the screen.
Yeah, on the drapery just on the hip. It might be leather.
It looks a little
But
bit
great
more.
colouring.
Yeah, I know, gorgeous colouring. It looks a little bit stiffer, doesn't it?
I think it's double face cashmere, actually, just the way it looks like it's flapping open
Yeah.
on the bottom. I don't think it would have quite as much movement as that if it was in leather.
Should we see the next look? Oh wow.
That's my dress of next winter.
But that reminds me of a lot of the earlier stuff she does, you know, the neckline.
So
I like
good.
how she continues to reference her.
It's reference, but it's so modern.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
And I'm sure that'll have a great zip the whole way up the back, you know.
It's beautiful.
And the shoulders is obviously
Right.
her sort of key.
Slims the hips.
It does indeed.
Yeah, that shape is very flattering there.
She always goes back to those kind of sporty references as well, doesn't she? Because that's kind of got like a baseball jacket
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
look about
I
it.
was thinking about baseball, you're right. That's not that easy to wear though. You say it flatters, but when you're covered here and then it goes down like this, that's
But
really
I'm
not
sure
easy to wear.
when sold, that would come without the...
Do you think so?
I'm sure you'd be able to get that just as a round
That
neck.
looks like two layers though,
Yeah,
doesn't it? That's
yeah.
layered, I think.
It's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Because I think
That
the
is so
element of
good.
having the sleeve is very flattering
Yeah.
about that. You know, it's a very considerate design. Yeah, I do wonder if a lot of
very
these pieces
consistent.
you'll be able to
Yeah.
have without the higher neck. 'Cause
It's just one or two silhouettes that she reshuffle, right? With and I like it. There's not too much. It's not confusing.
And she's a great editor.
Yeah.
Because her shows are really, really short, and I think that is really refreshing because you
Yeah.
look at it and you feel like every piece in there really deserves
remember
to
it,
be there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I think, her strength actually is the editing, and because she's got this great taste level and this kind of refinement, it's like she's had her fashion education throughout all her years in as a singer in the media. Her editing is something a lot of designers kind of get wrong often. It's having too much in the show or having the wrong looks. She seems to nail it. You know, she's short and sweet, the right looks, the right impact.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, she's just reinforcing the message of her silhouette.
And I love that also when you see her out and about, she is carrying her bag like that
The
as well.
same
She's
way.
very
Yeah.
true to brand.
Yeah.
It's great.
Or the brand is very, very true to her.
Yeah.
Which could also be, you know, it's inevitable. You do things that you like.
But we were saying this before when we were talking about how, as much as it is very true to her, it doesn't feel narcissistic. You know, you don't get the sense with her. And I think that's a really tough line for her to walk, especially given she is, you know, a celebrity moving into design. It's very easy to dismiss that.
It's a really soft waistline. That's nice, isn't it?
Sorry, what were you going to say, Steve?
But it's not as though she's doing a t-shirt print of herself or doing it in rhinestones or
No.
something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
You know, it could be much more
Oh, gosh.
extreme.
But do you think that's what people expected of her when she started?
Oh, completely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there's a certain fun aspect about that too, but I don't think she's going there.
No.
Not yet, certainly.
Maybe she'll toy with it in a few seasons. Be able
And maybe
to-
on Victoria Line she'll do
Yeah.
something which is more sort of self-referential. But for the moment, not her main line. It's really about beautiful fabrics, luxurious finishes, simplicity, elegance. This is such a good bag.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful bag. You can
That's such
see
a good
the-
look, all of it. It's perfect.
I love that slit on the skirt. I really want one.
So that's your look.
I know, I keep being like,
Nice
that
season.
would look really great sitting here.
I was trying to think as a brand who she reminds me of or who she's in the same vein as. And I think she kind of sits somewhere with maybe some of the Italian houses a little bit and how sophisticated she's gone. I'm also saying, I know Max Mara aren't the most directional of the brands, but I see something about like some of her looks look like they could be from a Max Mara show, like some great coats or the colourway that she's in as well. It's very sophisticated, very Italian looking.
But she walks that line of being very sophisticated, but without ever feeling, you know, kind of tired. It still does feel very kind of quite sexy and quite fun. And I don't know if that's her personality brings that to the brand, you know.
Do you know, I would put her, sounds a bit enormous, but I would put her as a female Alaya. She's sort of putting herself out there because she's the fabrics and the cut she uses is really extraordinary. And I would say, if I was putting her in a group, I would say she's a sort of fusion of, she's a female Alaya in the sort of, not, you know, in some respects, but in the woman that she's aiming at, I would say that she would attract an Alaya customer.
That's interesting. Where would you put her, Mimma?
I was thinking about what you were saying about Max Mara. I see where it comes from, probably the use of fabrics and the colors. It's Max Mara is probably a little bit more classic, and she gives it some modernity. So they should look at this to get some edge. I see
It's
where
the
you
quality.
come from,
It's the
Camilla. I don't see that, but I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't.
Although
I can't
maybe
relate
that,
to that.
yeah.
But what I like is that I don't place her anywhere. I place her where it's.
But she's an aspirational designer, like Alara is an aspirational designer.
Is she that expensive?
No.
Because he's very expensive. I don't.
She's
Yeah,
I
Jack,
think-
tell us, how much does her stuff go for?
Well, coats are up at about £5,000.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
Entry,
a line,
entry
right.
point
Celine.
is
Yeah.
about 800. Dresses 1,000, 2,000.
Well,
It's
1,000 or
expensive.
2,000 is different.
Well, it depends on how simple they are.
Okay.
But it kind of some of the separates, like some last season, the lace shirts and things like that, £800. One of her standard dresses with the zip up the back, 1,000, 1,500.
Okay.
And then we
Summer.
saw
£1,000.
coats that were about £5,000.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah. Well, it's top luxury. Maybe we should finish the
Yeah.
that. But I have
Keep
something I would like to discuss later. Is
Okay.
the diffusion line?
I
so early.
don't think she
in her
reminds me of
story.
anybody. I
Me
have
the
to say.
same here.
I think if you had to look at her and what she does, I'd have to say it reminds me of very early Armani, which was really about the comfort of the woman and taking it to a level of elegance that somehow allowed the woman to sort of glow within
Yeah.
it. And he was
Yeah.
the person who really invented that in that sort of Italianese. It's not what he does now at all.
No.
The fashion world moved on completely. Sorry, Mr. Armani. But I think there's sort of an ease with what she does now that is somehow he used to do that.
That's really interesting, actually, that you say the ease, and there is that element of that kind of androgyny and that kind of coolness to
And
it.
simplicity, cleanliness.
What do you think of this shape with that kind of tie? Because that's
It's Celine, I think. It's a bit. That's the only thing where I think it's not as much as the rest hers. If you were telling me this is Phoebe Philo, I would believe it. No?
But I think you could say there were so many collections now. You
Click
go.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Can we see the next look?
Yeah, see, that's great.
Yeah, that's really fun. And that's quite the 60s thing, it's very modern, quite cute.
And that's much more her in the way
Yeah.
that we used to see her in this references.
I like the shot of colour in
That's
the
a
panel of the skirt.
Beautiful colour, yeah. I think it's not quite kind of neon, it's not lemon, it's
No.
a really great yellow that she's used.
And you can see her wearing that, that reference is, as you said, the way she dresses. And
You can see a lot of people wanting to wear it.
Weird. For me, that's weird.
I think it's something a bit more fashion, though. I think it's nice to see her play, be a bit more experimental.
And it's funny because that's beige and yellow with black shoes. And Victoria Beckham, one thing that she used to do and I hated was that she always had the same Birkin or Kelly or the same color of the shoes. And I wanted to call her and say, you don't need to have the same green. And suddenly there's a beige, brownish yellow coat with black shoes. So she's getting there.
I really think the hair is so strong because it makes every look so much kind of more just chilled out and cool. And
There are so many brilliant pieces and separates in this. I mean, this is a really strong look. I love that electric blue purple.
do you think this would be an easy collection to buy as a buyer?
Definitely, everything we've seen so far, isn't it? Every look, you can
You would
see,
buy.
dream looks, all of them.
And you feel like you could slot it in with previous things you'd actually bought from her as well. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, it's still got her identity. It has gone this more relaxed look to it, but like Stephen was saying, it's winter, it's relaxed. People want that. The layering, the way she's layered in this is brilliant because you could put these pieces together exactly as they are. Want to do that whole look.
Or you could layer it in from something you have from the season before.
Exactly.
Should you see the next look?
I love this look.
Those shoes, I love that little skinny ankle strap. It's so sexy.
You just need very long legs for that.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a problem. Everybody's doing that, but if you don't have very long legs, they can't really.
Heavy
Yeah,
cuff
that's
at the
true.
base of the trouser? Is that an exaggerated cuff?
I don't see the shape.
No, I don't think that's a cuff. I think it might just be bend of the knee.
Oh, all right.
I love that cropped proportion of the sleeve and the trousers because it's just so nice to concentrate on the extremities.
Yeah.
If you're doing,
Yeah.
she's got a high roll neck, and then
Yeah.
this exaggerated shoulder and sleeve, and then just to have that, I think it's very
You
elegant.
see the wrist and the
Yeah,
ankle.
the little
Yeah.
delicate
Very
wrist
sexy.
actually is
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really sexy.
And it picks up on the delicate strap of that shoe as well.
That's how why Balenciaga invented the 7/8 sleeve to make women look more feline. That's
Yeah.
what they thought. It's the cutaway collar so they could have somewhere to put their pearls, so their voices.
Oh, do you want some water or anything?
Yes, I'd love
Yeah,
some.
could you get some water?
Yeah, I love the
please?
7/8
I've got
with
clean
sleeves
water.
with gloves. I think it's the chicest thing.
So
Look,
she-
here's a slip.
Oh, thank you.
We know each other quite well.
And I think that you can see on a red carpet, you know, that's really, really sexy, but really cool.
That's more cocktail to me than red carpet.
But
That's
even-
what I like
I
about
think that's how a lot of
it's
the girls
very
dress.
elegant. But would you wear it at the BAFTAs tonight?
No, I think, okay, Stephen.
Pass the parcel.
Water from
Thank you.
But you can see someone, you know, like someone like Jennifer Lawrence, someone who's really,
Yes.
really great, you know,
And young.
looking really awesome.
It's
and
beautiful.
really
It's
strong.
very chic. But no, I
Love
don't
to
think
know what
American
fabric it
actresses
was.
in their 30s
That's what
would
I
wear
was
this.
thinking.
No, no,
They're not
they
able.
wouldn't.
They have no idea about this, right?
I
Maybe in
don't-
Europe
think it
more.
is?
I don't think they're Victoria's client anyway.
It's
No,
horrible to
no,
have
because
that
they-
kind of
They don't have the taste.
shimmer that it's
Should we
got.
see the next look? That's really gorgeous as well.
I love those colours all the way through.
Yeah,
I mean, there must be like a ring of jersey or something with a zip down the back, or
and I think it's
Yeah,
quite nice when she
okay.
commits to doing something. You know, she's trying something new, like when she did, you know, the fact that she's done the sock type shoe, and when she did the beanie hat. You know, there's something I like that she's being a bit playful. And,
Red thread.
Mm,
It goes
yeah.
through the whole thing.
But also, I mean, you can't beat a little black dress, and she's for evening offering up really sexy silhouettes, and they're quite diverse. You know, for your customers, you've got the sort of high neck, drop knee. You've got the one with the slash. I mean, I'd love to know what the fabrics are.
Should we see the next look? We're getting towards the end now.
That's a
lovely
tux. I think it's
That's
very modern.
gorgeous.
And
That's
that feels
very
very,
her.
see the-
yeah. And it
It's
feels very
fantastic.
relevant right now, obviously. So
Yeah, Cape Tux.
Beautiful.
pony skin again. I'm sure it was.
yeah, I think it has a pony skin. Then we've got next look as our final look.
I love that cape.
Yeah.
Is that a dress or is that separate?
I think it looks like a
I think it's a
separate.
dress.
Do you think it's a dress?
I don't know. You were
Just disagree.
We're just saying the opposite, but
I'm not sure if
actually-
it's
I
it
think
looks
it's
like
a
the
dress.
panel at the front goes
I
all
think
the way
it's a dress.
down, so
I think it's
all
a
one
dress.
Yeah,
But
That's
Who
very
knows?
beautiful.
that
Yeah,
shoulder
that's
is just
beautiful. Yeah.
fantastic.
her shoulders throughout have been
Mm.
really strong this time. Not that they're not before, but they've got a really good direction.
I think it's gonna be her taking a bow. The next. Oh, should we give her a little round of applause?
Yeah.
She's so great.
And she's got a matching hairdo as well.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
looks so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So what are our gut reactions to it? What do we think?
Well done.
Oh, I mean, all the way through, I think it was a really, really strong collection. I think it will do really well.
Beautiful fabrics, I think, is what we can take away from it. Colours and fabrics.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mimma, you want to talk about her diffusion line?
Well,
Can
yeah.
I say what I think?
Yes.
Right
sorry.
clothes for the right time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's true.
It looks like now.
Yeah.
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 But I also think it'll still look like now in 3 months' time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it doesn't feel kind of.
Well, I think it was Mimma nailed it at the beginning. It's got sincerity, this collection.
I think all of her stuff has sincerity, though. That's
Yeah.
actually a really great word to use for her.
Yeah.
It always feels incredibly
Yeah.
sincere, right through, whether it's.
When someone is successful, as you say, you know, that she has waiting lists before, it's not just because she's called Victoria Beckham. People don't buy into anything. She's successful because she's good.
Yeah.
That's it. Or like, you know, now we were discussing Mr. Armani, and I said that in the panel I was here with you, I think,
Well,
Camilla. You know, it's boring,
Can we
whatever,
see that
but
shoe?
it's
Can we see that close up of that shoe?
look at the
Sorry.
bag. The bag is beautiful.
So it's like a little strap
Oh,
going over
kitten
that.
heel.
Oh.
Right. So it's got a gaiter on it.
And she's been toying with these lower shoes, hasn't she? You know, with the I love those
It's a
flats. with the
classic
glasses on.
Manolo as well.
That's great.
Yeah,
It's
I
almost
guess
like an exaggerated
have-
spat.
I have a feeling that's going to be a trend because we saw it. It was at Jason Wu and Alexander Wang.
Yeah.
There's something on the shoes
Yeah.
in every show. You know,
Well, it's
every
like-
season there's something that everybody does. I think this is going to be a trend.
That has a kind of armour shape to
Yeah.
it. It looks
Yeah.
like a piece of armour on
Yeah.
the front of that
Very
delicate
beautifully
shoe.
designed.
Go on that bag, number 9, please. Sorry, that was a little bit firm.
Lovely.
Lovely.
I think look
It's Vanessa Friedman.
8, which is this one, I think is my favourite look from the whole
Yeah.
show. It's just
Yeah.
very, it's a very me kind of.
I didn't realise the cuff was
Colour.
actually a different colour to the shirt as well.
Yeah.
That's really
Those
Yeah.
colours
good.
are gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Everything
Yeah.
about it, about how she's accessorised it, got the stiffness of the
Yeah.
cuff is gorgeous.
I'm going to say something that is not going to be very popular, but I think she took Lorraine Scott place, because Lorraine started before. She wanted to do that, and then she got stuck into herself. So I think she designs for herself. You have to be almost 2 meters tall, and Victoria came in the same category of woman. You know, not that young, not that modern and elegant and luxurious, but not that, you know, East London trendy. And she designed for many more women. And when you see this, it makes me think a little bit at Lorraine at the beginning, who then became her own style. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. And Victoria did it beautifully, because she took that.
It feels like she has her eyes
took
open.
that
You know, it feels like she's so willing to learn. You were
Yes.
saying this before, but it
Yes.
feels like season on season, you know, she actually reads what people like about her stuff, and she's very receptive to how people wear it and what other people are doing, but without ever feeling like she's kind of copying anyone. It just feels like
Absolutely.
she's a sponge. You know, she's taking
She's
in
a sponge.
everything.
She has
Yeah.
eye open. You said it beautifully. And she's not only ego referred. You know, and that's why she's successful.
How would you guys like to see her take her brand forward? Because we did say she has been developing and she's been having more fun. She's been playing as separates. How would you like to see it go in the future?
I think that the end of the show, in terms of her tailoring, to think of her as a go-to brand for tailoring, I think would be great for her, because I could see it developing. Like, you think of Victoria Beckham, you think of like these great tuxedos and these, you know, away from how she started in just the world of dresses, and like you said, the comparison with Roland Mouret, going in more of the world of separates and especially tailoring, I think.
What would you say, Stephen?
I'd like her to show 50 outfits, not 28. Because I think there's a whole lot of looks and different variations in there, which very correctly, now she's only showing 28, but I think she can actually start to show a little bit more and show us her whole world, which is not only about a few different looks. I mean, she herself wears lots of different types of clothes, and I'd love to see that. I think it's maybe available for buyers to buy, because I know this is a very edited highlight, but she has lots to offer.
So has this made us more receptive in general of the celebrity as designer, or do you think she is just a very magical, unique example of where it works?
I
I
think
think that's unique.
Yeah, or it can
Absolutely.
happen again, but it doesn't mean that everybody who has a dog can design, like Mark said. You know, she could, and that's good to see. But it doesn't mean that it can happen again or not. I think
But I
she's quite
also
unique.
think this collection and that she as a brand deserves to be recognised as a designer. We wouldn't say take Celine and talk about Phoebe all the way through in her personal life and who she is and what she did before. And I think that actually the clothes speak for themselves, and Victoria deserves to be regarded as a designer, not as a novelty, because I think she's got a great brand there.
Yeah.
I think that's a really lovely note to end
Yeah.
on.
And I
It's
think
very
that's what she
positive.
wants. She wants to be a designer and not a celebrity. I think that's where she's working on her own self.
And I think that's what we see
Right,
her
yeah.
as now, don't we? Like,
I think she's a celebrity as well, and I think this is her unique point, because last season, for example, if you measure the amount of, I mean, I can't exactly remember the numbers, but the amount of tweets and posts
yeah, she
and
got
this,
the most.
she got like 2.5 times Marc Jacobs, who is like the most
Really?
famous designer from New York. Yes,
Yeah.
it's an extraordinary thing.
She's so much better.
Let's
you-
give her a little round of
Yeah, let's give her a round of
applause then.
applause. That was lovely to round things off.